You're welcome to the midweek edition of the Midday Brief with me, Kemini Nyamani Aman. Over the next 60 minutes, here are our headlines. Institute for Economic Affairs urges NPP and NDC not to seek review of Supreme Court judgment after the 29th August verdict. Meanwhile, Judicial Service staff threaten strikes on 26th of August. And the local union of the airport's meteorological agency are also threatening a strike action to demand better conditions of service. Ahead, Vice President Pakwesi Emisa Arthur meets Economic Policy Coordinating Committee as they review the challenges and successes the economy has showed. Well, stay with me for details of these stories and many more in a bit. In our first story, the Institute of Economic Affairs is urging the party in the election petition case in whose favor the expected judgment of the Supreme Court may not be to refrain from seeking a review in the interest of peace. According to the economic think tank, this will facilitate the process of national reconciliation and unity. The nation is currently awaiting the August 29 decision of the Supreme Court after it heard a petition challenging the legitimacy of President John Mahama. In a statement issued Monday, the IAA called on the winning party to refrain from provocative victory celebrations and taunting of the other party. It also urged all Ghanaians to remain calm and trust in the competence of the Supreme Court to deliver a fair judgment. It's called on the youth to refrain from acts that could threaten the peace of the nation before and after the court verdict, and on the leadership of the disputing political parties to adhere to the provisions of the 2012 Political Parties Code of Conduct, which they prepared and signed in the run-up to the 2012 general elections. Now, the statement again commended the Supreme Court for upholding the rule of law and instilling in all citizens a sense of respect and regard for the state, the Constitution, law and order. The IEA further taxed the media to maintain absolute impartiality and avoid provocative discussions that could inflame passions, while asking the security agencies to stand ready to act proactively and swiftly to secure the peace and safety of Ghana after the court's ruling without fear or favor. Meanwhile, the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana has threatened to embark on a strike as the country prepares for the Supreme Court verdict in the election petition case. Now, if nothing is done about the situation, it is most likely to grind the administration of justice to a halt as the Judicial Service, including court clerks, complement the effort of judges and magistrates to dispense justice. It is also likely to affect the judgment of the landmark election petition case, which will be delivered on August 29. Francis Brakwa, chairman of JUZAC, says the association has given government up to August 27 to pay their allowances, or they would start their strike. According to him, they are demanding payment of unpaid fuel allowances, cloth allowances, among other arrears. The deadline by JUSAC for the allowances to be paid is just 2 days ahead of the Supreme Court's judgment on the election petition case. Let's move on to some other stories away from the Supreme Court. And the National Biosafety Committee has received 3 applications for research and field trials of genetically modified crops in the country. The GM is a special set of technologies that alter the genetic makeup of organisms such as animals, plants, or bacteria. While the NBC has received one application seeking permits to research into a particular variety of cowpea, two other applicants are seeking the NBC's consent for field trials of sweet potato. The chairman of the committee, Professor Osei, assured that the NBC would be transparent in its work to ensure public confidence in biotechnology and biosafety, which had both health and environmental implications. Meanwhile, the organization in charge of genetically modified organisms, Food Sovereignty Ghana, is questioning the quest by the National Biosafety Committee in authorizing the testing of GMO crops in Ghana. Their concern is whether the perceived controversial decision is in the best interest of the consuming public. So with me in the studio is Robuan Rodriguez from Food Sovereignty Ghana, and we also raised members of the Biosafety Committee over the telephone on this particular matter. But let's talk to Robuan. Is that the name? Robuan?
Yes, correct. Robuan.
Correct. Right. So what are your concerns? We want to test first. What exactly are the concerns?
Okay, first of all, I think that it's very important to understand the implications of food in society. Okay, Food Sovereignty Ghana is taking this new phenomenon of GMO from the global perspective, taking into consideration experiences in other countries, but making it particular in the context of Ghana. Okay, so it's important to understand that Food Sovereignty Ghana is first of all considering all the experiences around the world in order to understand the possible implications of the adoption or adopting this new technology in Ghana.
Right. Now, we want the National Biosafety Committee is going to embark on some tests on some genetically engineered food crops. Is that bad?
Yes, because that is related to your first question, okay? Our concerns, first of all, we have health concerns, okay? When you look around the world and you read articles and documentaries and other civil organizations, they are protesting because they feel deceived, okay, disappointed by the promises of these so-called stronger crops, okay, that have rather caused damage in their health structures. So first of all, we have this concern, which is based on experiences from other countries. Secondly, as our name says, sovereignty. It's important to know that these new products, okay, they are not for free. That means that somebody is selling you the seed, okay? So that means that your control over food is not longer there. It's no longer on your hands. You are dependent on buying seeds for somebody else. And when you analyze the history of the world and you come to what the so-called underdeveloped countries, you will realize that most politicians and sociologists have realized that the main problem of underdevelopment is dependence. When you are dependent on energy, you are dependent on food, you are dependent on medical services. So we are advocating for sovereignty on food by the Ghanaian population.
So for food sovereignty, we shouldn't embark on this particular, we shouldn't make this particular move because it could affect us health-wise, it could affect our environment, it could affect us culturally. I remember the last time we spoke, we mentioned all of these things, but is it not good enough that, okay, we haven't said we'll go into it yet, but we'll just run some tests and see, and perhaps we'll make it more liberal than others are making it. Would give you the option of going for an organic product or the genetically engineered one. Then everybody can be fine.
Okay, the important point here is also to see that science, okay, because the main argument from many organizations is that science, from their point of view, says that there is no problem when it comes to health issues, okay? We as organization, we believe that science, of course, is the most reliable source of knowledge, okay? Nonetheless, how do you use this new knowledge makes a total difference. Do you want to use this new technology in order to improve the life of the community, or you want to use this technology to make more profit for your own organization, for your own company?
Okay.
That's when the issue of sovereignty comes into that.
Robert, we'll talk about the experiences of other nations across the globe as far as food sovereignty is concerned. But let's go to the telephone where Bernard Guri is joining us. He's Executive Director for Center for Indigenous Knowledge on Organization Development. Good afternoon, Bernard.
Good afternoon.
Right. And so the conversation here this afternoon is National Biosafety Committee is going to start, testing of some genetically engineered seeds. What do you make of this?
Sorry, I'm afraid the reception is very bad. But what I hear is that when we're talking about biotechnology and the issue that there are some trials going on already, as the Center for Indigenous Knowledge and Organizational Development, that is more concerned about how Ghana should be building on our indigenous knowledge base. And also knowing that our farmers have been doing research for a long time and developing their own seed. I feel very concerned, me and my organization, that we are trying to test, scientists are testing varieties or testing a technology that we are not sure of. I mean, worldwide, there are a lot of protests everywhere about the health implications of genetically modified organisms. They're still not sure that in the long run, the next 50, 100 years, we don't know the impact it's going to have on them. But we know that in Africa, in Ghana, farmers have been doing their own experimentation. They've been selecting their own seeds. And I believe that to increase food productivity is not about modifying seeds. It's about giving the right conditions to be able to produce. And farmers have that technology. Genetically modified seeds don't necessarily increase yield. Science have shown it. It doesn't increase yield. What it only does is that it increases the responsiveness to certain conditions, like more water, like some exercise and those things. And so, from our position, we believe that we ought to be more careful about what we are not too sure of. Let us understand it better and the implications before we rush it in, because we are already here. The law has been passed in Ghana, and the other countries, there are demonstrations against genetically modified seeds. So I think that we're things a bit in a hurry. We ought to maybe stop this thing now and even educate people. The main issue, the main concern is that education is more about the benefits of genetically modified organisms. But they don't educate us about the negative sides of it, and there are lots of negative sides. Because ordinary people should be given a choice. We should understand the benefits and the negative things that come out, and then we can make a choice. And now Ghanaians don't have any awareness about the negative sides of GMOs. So we want to call for a stop to the experimentation. Let us educate people on it, and then we can all make a choice. That's my position.
Would you call the period a bad timing for embarking on such a move, testing seeds already?
Come again?
I'm asking, what do you think about the timing, considering all that you have said? What do you think about the timing for the move taken by the National Biosafety Committee?
I think it's premature. It's a premature decision, because we ought to study and understand the negative effect this can have on our health. And even not just that, I mean, it is not just about, it's not about only food, it's not about eating. For we, the Africans, or the Ghanaians for that matter, food is also about our culture. It's an identity. So what's going to happen is that they're narrowing the food, regime to only a few crops that have been genetically modified. And our culture, like homo and other things, we have specific food that we use. So if we lose these seeds, it means we lose our culture. So I think it's a premature thing.
Right, right. Thank you very much, Bernard. Bernard Guri is Executive Director for the Center for Indigenous Knowledge and Organizational Development. But Robuan Rodriguez, who is with Food Sovereignty Ghana, is still with me here in the studio. I'll come back to you shortly. Let's talk to someone from biosafety. And Al-Hassan Sando is Professor Al-Hassan Sando is joining us by telephone. He is with the National Biosafety Committee. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
We're talking again, and once again, we're talking about biosafety. This time, the timing for implementing this has been described as premature. What do you make of this?
What do you mean by premature? We have a law in the country which governs this activity, and we have got an ally which also governs the activity. So what do you mean by premature?
Premature in the sense that proper education hasn't been given to the Ghanaian people. Now, for persons from Food Sovereignty Ghana and Center for Indigenous Knowledge and Organizational Development, you haven't given us the proper knowledge, because going biosafety could even affect us culturally. What do you make of this?
Well, knowledge seeking is an endless thing. People are born today, they grow into it, they have to attain knowledge. So people pass away and give knowledge back to people. Now, formal training, by what we are talking about, awareness cases, started way back in the UNICEF era, around 2003, 2004, when Ghana government had a support from UNICEF.
I see.
This is a environment program. So training and awareness cases started from them. But people come and go, new people come, and they have to get training, and that is in order. So if the present crop of people you are dealing with, food sovereignty, do not have the training, well, we run training, even as of now I'm talking to you. There are initiatives which do training to create awareness on biotechnology, and you continuously do that.
But
so to say that there's no training is premature, when will it be premature? You have to get 25 million people aware of issues of biotechnology or any other technology before you introduce it in the country. How many people knew about the mobile phone before it came into the country, and we are using it now?
But
technology to meet new challenges. We look at the safety aspects of it as we have done now with the law, and then there are procedures. We go through the procedures, and the trials are ongoing. It's for the betterment of Ghana, not to destroy Ghana.
Right. Now, I know we have gone back and forth with the safety and how detrimental this could be to us as well. But why give the control of food production into the hands of a businessman?
We will not put in food production into the hands of any businessman.
Even when we start licensing seeds?
Pardon?
Even when we start licensing seeds?
Well, we charge licensing fees even for a non-GM commodity. Like, if you come out to produce, there are seed companies in the country. Now, these seed companies have evolved over the years. And it is not because they are handling GM. None of them is handling any GM commodity. And you have to pay to collect the fees from them. If you are producing hybrid, you have to pay because yields are much higher. It costs a little bit more input, but you get greater return. So you pay more for it. And so the GM thing is just another type of variety which has come to enable you cope with the challenge. So if you do not want it, you can go and buy a different type of seed and grow. But because people have put in a lot of effort, time, resources to come out with that particular commodity, they are right to charge at whatever level they think they can get their commodities to move. It's a buyer who has to indicate his willingness or not to buy the particular seed because of the cost and the returns expected. But as for safety, it is guaranteed. But of course, we do not have anything like 100% safety in life, But within a certain limit of safety or anything going wrong, we are prepared to accept level of risk associated with it. Just like you driving to school, to your workplace. You accept a certain level of risk associated with driving. You think you drive there safely. We also think that maybe 80%, 90% of the chances are that you get there safely. And So it is for this technology.
I see. And so what's the next step from the testing?
Okay, the next step, right now, if I need to dedicate you, we have a product. We need to test it to make sure that it is environmentally, it can prove what you really wanted. For instance, Ghana has planted the nitrogen deficient rice. Now, this is genetically modified, but we are testing it under confinement. It's not being released to anybody yet. We want to make sure that, one, it is really nitrogen efficient and that farmers will not be taken for a ride. Nitrogen efficient in the sense that you use less nitrogen fertilizer and it is efficient, the crop can utilize it so that you don't get excess nitrogen into the atmosphere or being washed downstream to pollute water bodies. Hello, are you getting me?
Yeah.
And then the next is I want to make sure that it has no adverse environmental effect. So we're monitoring what we call gene flow. It may be the pollen going around, being blown out to maybe to other unintended, crops which are related to it, in which it can cross with it. So we also try to make sure that that doesn't happen by allowing what we call isolation distances, and we have screened the thing adequately to prevent, intrusion. So that we monitor this for about 4 or 5 years, and we are sure that the thing is efficacious and it is safe. Then we go to the next stage of trial. That time will now involve the farmers.
I see.
To make sure that they see the technology, and then we go on to release the thing, and then, of course, the seed growers will come in.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Alhassan Sando is with the National Biosafety Committee. But Robwan Rodriguez of Food Sovereignty Ghana is still here with me in the studio. Let's wrap up quickly with Robwan. You had Alhassan Sando. What do you make of his comments?
That we as human beings in this world, we have the responsibility and at the same time the right, to question and to look for information. In our generation, there is no excuse to say, I didn't know. There is no excuse to say, I wasn't told. Internet is available for all of us. And if there is a new phenomenon coming along that will affect our economy, will affect our health, will affect our biodiversity, I think we ought to look and to seek for information and to have our own independent analysis. We are advocating for this development or this uncovering of news, this uncovering of information. We want people to go and read, people to go and research on their own, and to take, as we are saying, to take into consideration experiences around the world, which is very interesting because they will tell you that they have done this testing. So I rather say that it's not premature, we are late here. People have been doing this testing for over 20 years and the results are there. Cancer, miscarriage, there's a dependence on foods because the seeds comes with herbicides, and pesticides, which you have to buy. And that makes a huge difference.
Yes.
So I think we ought to understand very well the consequences of adopting this new technology and whose pocket this technology is going to benefit. Because the problem of hunger in the world is not the lack of food. And that most universities will tell you by their own researches and studies. The problem is an unfair distribution of food and affordability for the food.
Right.
Anybody can go around Ghana. I have the opportunity to travel around Ghana and see vast extensions of land, fertile land. And we are rather importing rice, spending millions. I think we ought to question ourselves, where are we moving? Why are they pushing so fast and so with this intensity, these new technologies which have failed in Latin America, in India, in Europe?
And
even in the US.
In the US.
With their own farmers.
Would probably have to end our conversation here. But we'll find time and talk about this more. It's important that we are educated on what we intend to adopt. And thank you very much, Rob.
Before it's too late.
Before it's too late. Thank you very much, Rob. Rob Rodriguez is with Food Sovereignty Ghana. We've been talking about genetically engineered organisms here in the studio. Let's move on to some other stories. And members of the Tamale Central constituency of the New Patriotic Party have expressed dissatisfaction about the decision of the prison sentences given some 5 NPP youth activists by the Tamale High Court. The Tamale Central Constituency Director of Communication for the NPP, Akbar Rumani, said the youth activists were completely innocent and the charges leveled against them were not fair. A Tamale High Court sentenced 5 NPP youth activists to various prison sentences. The decision was taken by a 7-member jury which decided on charge Yahuza, Yakubu, Abibu, Dagbana, Majid, Al-Hassan, Saibu, and Imoro Gundana for conspiracy to murder. Ramani remarks that the jury had been misguided, adding that in various trials, the jury was divided as what to the kind of verdict to meter out to the convicts. According to him, the story had been dented on many occasions, provoking that injustice had been served to the people. Now, the municipal chief executive of the Utu Senya East Municipal Assembly, Adam Snuhu, has denied alleged siphoning of funds meant for persons living with disabilities. Speaking to Joy News' Etonam Say, he indicated that persons living with disabilities have separate accounts and signatories from that of MMTS.
Okay. What does it?
Is there a way they can
There's no way,
funds?
because it's a common fund that we're supposed to use, that a percentage is being given to them. Do you understand it? Previously, what is done is that it comes into our assembly en bloc. This thing, maybe the assembly's common fund is part of it. And when we come, there's a directive statutorily, we have to give them 2% of it. So we have to give the money to them. So they were not getting it. So another directive came, the new policy was made by local government that we should open a separate account for them, for which the money will be transferred from common fund directly. Instead of coming to assembly, it goes to that account separately. So if you are expecting, assembly is expecting maybe 100 cedis, 20 cedis is for them. So the 20 cedis goes into the account separately, an account that is earmarked with a signature given to them.
He adds, if the group has enough evidence, they should present it to the assembly for the issue to be rectified.
We, in particular, as the Wood Senior, don't even go into their funding for anything, but they rather bring their programs and projects and we embark on it for them. They wanted to buy some machines for their members. We sponsored the less they got those things and we pay for it. So clearly, if somebody or any organization or they think that some MMDs are not spending the money for the purpose of which is what is it approved, then they have to take them on seriously.
National Advocacy Officer of the Ghana Federation of the Disabled, Isaac Tugan, says he has a handful of evidence.
If I cite Lagma here, in Accra here, what happened is 6,000 cedis have been taken out from the account to buy logistics like computer, digital camera, phone, and I think a cabinet. And these things are put in the Department of Social Welfare office. When I called the the coordinator, who is also a member on the Common Fund, the Fund Management Committee, I also called the social welfare officer, and I called the other guy, one of the honorable members, and they all confirmed today that the 6,000 had been taken out to buy these logistics. I asked them, what is the benefit of this? They are in the office of the Department of Social Welfare. Is that what the fund is meant for? And they said they want to use these, the camera to take pictures of persons with disability in town.
He intimates that the group will stop at nothing until it retrieves all monies wrongfully taken.
We are not the federation rep on the fund management committee is not a signatory to the account. So they are just being manipulated on the fund management committee. Sometimes they are completely sidelined, and that is why some of these things are happening.
The Common Fund is meant to support the income-generating activities of individual persons with disabilities as a means of economic empowerment, and also to provide educational support for children, students, and trainees with disabilities. Etonam Say, Joy News.
Away from that, workers of the Ghana Meteorological Agency at the Kotoka International Airport are threatening a strike on August 27 if issues of accommodation for staff are not addressed. According to the Meteo staff, several appeals to management to address their grievances have proved futile. The strike, if carried through, will affect Ghana's aviation industry, as flights to and from Ghana will have to be cancelled. Assistant Secretary of the local union, Fred Chum, is joining us by telephone to help us understand their concerns. Hello, Fred.
Hi.
Right, and what exactly are these concerns of yours that are necessitating, a strike come August 27?
These concerns ranges from accommodation of staff who are not accommodated at all, to those who have gotten accommodation at the airport. But the situation they are in is not a good one to write home about. Again, we also have issues concerning our night duty allowance, plus public holiday allowance. These are some of the issues we are talking about.
I see. Have you made these concerns known to your employers or to authorities?
Yes, we have. As far back as December 2009, there was a memo written which outlined a number of issues, including that of accommodation and some other ones. And until now, to date, none of them have been addressed.
I see.
So we are telling them now that if there's nothing they can do, then we think we have done our part in waiting for all this while. So we need them to act accordingly.
Right. Let's talk about your accommodation problems. And so if you have been having this concern since 2009, you said.
Yes.
And you've made them known. How have workers managed to, lay their heads before going to work?
Those of us who are not housed, we manage to pay our rent, get money, and pay our rent. Some of us go for loans at the banks, and then every 2 years have to renew, and then take new ones to help accommodate ourselves. So that has been a norm. We tread from our houses to the office, and nothing is done about it. So long as the work goes on, then everything is okay, and that is what we are saying. It's enough.
I see. And since you made your concerns known to authorities, what have they told you?
In 2011, we raised these number of issues again, and what happened was we had to get in touch with the then Deputy General Secretary, Mr. Ampabin of PSWU. He came into the matter and tried to get us find us a way out. He met management, but to no avail, nothing happened. So that is why we have gone back to the table.
How about this threat of strike? Has it shaken management in any way?
Come again, please.
This threat of strike, has it shaken authorities in any way?
We have given them the notice. That was yesterday. So we are waiting on them to act. Yes.
Out of curiosity, if authorities decide that this whole accommodation arrangement should be withdrawn, would it affect your work?
Yes, definitely it will affect our work. It will affect our judging by the nature of work we do. We work around the clock, 24/7.
But
it's a core duty. Yes. So if you decide that you are not going to provide accommodation or assist those who are not housed in any form, then it is going to have a toll on our work, which will eventually affect the activities at the airport.
Yes.
Yes.
Tell us, for many, we may not understand the work of meteorologists at the airport. Help us understand what could happen if you withdraw your service.
If our services are withdrawn, it will have a greater toll on the activities of the aviation industry.
As what?
At the airport. Yes, because they depend on our services to direct aircraft as to the takeoff, the landing, flyover, as to how they even plan, how airlines even plan their flights. So these information and data they use in transporting all depend on us. We provide them with these services. And if these services are withdrawn, it is going to affect the country seriously.
Right. Thank you very much, Fred, for your time on the Midday Brief. We put in efforts to raise managers of the airports. When we're able to get to them, would find out what they intend to do about this. You're watching the Midday Brief. When I return, we'll find out how you feel the water you drink from the sachet is handled. You're welcome back. Let's do some more stories. And sachet water quenches the thirst of many across the country. But has it occurred to you how it is handled at the point of sale? Now, Joy News has been finding out, and take a look.
The sachet water, referred to as pure water, is preferred by many. The introduction of sachet water attracted many who hitherto drank from mugs. The handling of sachet water is, however, a worry for some consumers. This retailer takes us through how she sells to vendors.
Sisi ade mi si ade nti mi nye ready say mi ba mi store no. Say mi sorry mi ti store na no. Omo ba na mi yi mom. Mom du ko. Mi si ni amanti. Mi nye ready say mi ko
The Food and Drugs Authority says it will continue to educate retailers on implications of the poor handling of sachet water.
Cut across the entire spectrum of production, right through to the time the final product gets to the consumer. And then at any of these stages, contamination can occur. If is one big factor when it comes to the quality of the water or the safety of the water at the retail level. And so it is expected that retailers will not expose water to direct sunlight. And retailers, we've not had any one-on-one. You know, manufacturers are more of our clients than the retailers. Someone who is retailing this product has the hands dirty, contaminated with either fecal material or what have you. He picks the water with the hands. He hands the water over to you. It goes into your mouth. You bite it. If there is any contamination there, you pick the contamination, and there you are sick. Typhoid fever, you can have in not hepatitis B, either hepatitis A, or any other foodborne illness that can be transferred through water. Yeah. Tuberculosis and what have you.
Now, the Jirapa district, we'll move on to some other stories, and let's do something quickly on non-communicable diseases in the Jirapa district.
Achievements and challenges of the health service in the district for the period under the review. It also provided a platform for other stakeholders and partners in health to make their contribution on ways of strengthening the health service in the area. The Jirapa District Director of the Ghana Health Service said the district recorded 26 suspected cases of meningitis in the first half of 2013 compared to 19 in 2012, but none was confirmed from laboratory investigations. This she attributed to the meningitis A mass vaccination conducted in 2012. With regards to HIV and AIDS, the Jirapa District Health Director conceded they did not do much because of the shortage of the test kits nationwide, which led to districts being advised to use the few test kits in the system to test only pregnant women for prevention of mother-to-child transmission. She appealed to nurses at the various health centers to monitor all pregnant women in the district and help them have safe delivery.
Stillbirths increased, and that is a worry, from 10 to 17. Then low birth weights also increased from 71 to 90. This means that our antenatal services should be improved. All these stillbirths I'm talking about occurred in our health facilities. Why should a mother carry pregnancy for 9 months and come to our facility and lose that baby? It is very sad. So I'm urging all the health workers here that let's try as much as possible to give quality antenatal care. And also during delivery, let's make sure that we monitor these women to have what? Safe delivery and have their babies alive, including themselves.
Rafiq Salam's report from Jirapa.
Now, representatives of the Constitutional Review Committee at the Super Morning Show on Joy FM have reinstated the need of their function. Now, this followed a question probed them on whether their functions are needed and whether their existence are constitutional, since bills proposed are again sent to Parliament. This is what they had to say.
Recommendations to government. We are bringing to the attention of the agencies, ministries who have to implement these administrative actions.
Unless the argument is that we shouldn't do anything about these administrative actions that people thought were necessary and were brought to the attention of the CRC.
Let me write to the president that A, B, and C should be done, and he does it. What is the legal basis for your doing that?
If I spent so much money on a Constitution Review Commission that has gone round and has come through with all of these recommendations, and you've simply just had to rubber stamp them and take them there, then I'm questioning what you are doing.
But that's what we,
are you getting my point?
Yeah, but you're also not getting the point.
Help me, sir.
You are missing the point. After the CRC work, the government issued a white paper.
Yeah, true.
It did not agree with everything there. After the government white paper, the public made comments. It did not agree with everything in the government white paper or in the CRC report. So he said, okay, you look at the report, look at the white paper, look at the government reaction, and see what can be in this bill. Assisting government to present the bill to Parliament.
Okay. You dealing with all of these entrenched issues? Because I'm sure we can raise 1,001 of those issues. When are you dealing with?
We are dealing with it. In about 3 or at most 4 weeks, you can send another invitation to us.
By which time you will be done with the entrenched?
We think so.
Now, Vice President Pakwesi Emisa Arthur is meeting with the Economic Policy Coordinating Committee to review the challenges and successes the economy has chalked. The committee, which is made up of officials from the Finance Ministry, Statistical Service and National Development Planning Commission, has the responsibility of coordinating the activities of various ministries and agencies. They will be looking at some policy interventions the ruling government introduced from the beginning of the year till date. Deputy Information Minister Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed says the meeting will come up with other measures that can be introduced to further strengthen the economy. He was speaking at the daily media briefing at the presidency. Time now for some news from across the globe. Let's make a fast stop in Syria, where chemical weapons attacks have killed hundreds on the outskirts of Damascus. Syrian opposition activists say now rockets with toxic agents were launched at the suburbs of the Ghouta region early on Wednesday as part of a major bombardment on rebel forces. It said the claims were baseless and an attempt to distract UN weapons inspectors. And Syrian opposition activists say chemical weapons attacks have killed hundreds on the outskirts of Damascus. Rockets with toxic agents were launched at the suburbs of the Ghouta region early on Wednesday as a major bombardment on rebel forces. Now, state-run news agency SANA says the claims were baseless and an attempt to distract UN weapons inspectors. That's it for the segment. Next is sports with Baba Kadiri.
A very good afternoon to you. Thanks for staying tuned to the sports segment on Midday Brief. Now we begin with the Uefa Champions League playoffs that were played last night. Very shocking results for some of the teams there, especially for Lyon, who stayed at home to be beaten 2-0 by Real Sociedad. AC Milan could only manage a 1-1 draw away to PSV Eindhoven. There were other matches that were also played, but here are highlights of some of the games that were played yesterday.
Celtic's quest to qualify for the group stages of the Uefa Champions League for a second successive season took them to Kazakhstan on Tuesday for a playoff match against Shakhtar Karagandhi. Their opponents might have been considered underdogs, but having overcome Bata Borisov in the second qualifying round, they certainly proved they had the pedigree to compete. As expected, Neil Lennon's side threatened early as they tested Shakhtar goalkeeper Alexander Markin, but he was up to the challenge. Having survived the early onslaught, the hosts fought back and received the perfect boost in the 12th minute as a throw-in was not dealt with by the Celtic defence.
An early setback for Celtic as Fidonchenko strikes. But the good news is it's early at least. There is time to repair the damage.
There was plenty of time to recover, and Celtic certainly responded well to Andrei Fidonchenko's opener. They came close in the 20th minute as Chris Commons rattled the woodwork with a long-range shot. Markin was well beaten, but the crossbar came to his rescue, and despite creating more first-half chances, Celtic went into the break trailing 1-0. It was more of the same after the restart as Celtic came close on a number of occasions. They were denied by some good work from Markin and some average finishing, and their squandered opportunities came back to haunt them. 14 minutes from time, the hosts doubled their lead through Sergei Kiznichenko.
And Shakhtar are having the time of their lives, but this is now a very serious situation for Celtic.
Despite enjoying 65% of the possession, Celtic were not able to get on the score sheet and bag what would have been a crucial away goal. They surrendered 2-0, leaving them with a mountain to climb in the return leg next week in Glasgow, if they're to qualify for Europe's elite club competition.
In one of the picks of the Uefa Champions League playoffs first leg matches, Italian giants AC Milan travelled to Holland to face PSV Eindhoven. Although there was a second leg to follow, much would rest on the outcome of this opening skirmish between the sides. PSV hit their straps early, and a deflected effort from Adam Maher almost had the visitors on the back foot. Milan slowly grew in confidence, and the PSV goalkeeper was called into action to deny Mario Balotelli and Stefan Al-Sharawi with sharp saves. PSV looked strong with the ball, and Christian Abbiati in the Milan goal had to be aware as he parried a long-range effort. The hosts were confident going forward, but Milan caught them napping in defence and hit back with a sucker punch.
And Al-Sharawi arriving! And that's the harsh reality of European football.
The visitors were in the groove and again found themselves going forward. Balotelli was unlucky to see his effort hit the frame of the goal and bounce clear. Going behind had lit a fire under the Dutch team, with Maher a thorn in the side. He burst forward and then saw his shot cannon against the crossbar.
All right, so we're expecting 5 matches ahead today in the playoffs in the Uefa Champions League. Top among the list, or top on the list, is that game in Turkey, Fenerbahce versus Arsenal. And of course, Arsene Wenger, coach of Arsenal, being bashed left, right, front, back, centre for not signing any players to strengthen his squad ahead of this very difficult season. So we have Dinamo Zagreb up against Austria Wien. We have PFC Gorets Razgrad up against Basel, and then we see Schalke up against PAOK Thessaloniki FC. Steaua Bucuresti up against Legia Warsaw. So those are the matches that are coming on today in the UEFA Champions League playoffs. Now let's talk about the English Premier League, because there's one fixture that will take place tonight. That's that game between Chelsea and Aston Villa at the Stamford Bridge. Here's a preview.
The first game of the second round of Barclays Premier League fixtures is on Wednesday night. Chelsea host Aston Villa at Stamford Bridge, with both sides riding high after victories over the weekend. Chelsea's was to be expected as they beat Hull City 2-0. Villa's was an upset as they overcame Arsenal 3-1. However, that result was not as much of a shock for Blues boss Jose Mourinho.
Surprised, yes, because we always expect the big teams and the contenders to the title to win their matches, but we know that we cannot win all the time, and we have to lose sometimes and lose points. And happens to Arsenal this match. Probably in the second fixture will be another contender to the title to lose points, and I think that's the beauty of this league, and that's the beauty of football. But at the same time, it was not such a big surprise, because Aston Villa can do that to any one of us.
Newcastle manager Alan Pardew expressed his frustration that the transfer window remains open at the start of the season. Mourinho sympathised with Pardew, but said Chelsea still have business to conduct before it closes.
At a certain point, I agree with what Pardew was saying yesterday, that the transfer window goes too far. The transfer window goes till the third, fourth fixture of the season.
Right, so there's that other big match coming up in Spain in the Spanish Super Cup. Is between Atletico Madrid and Barcelona. So I'll bring you details of that one later. But Otumfuo Osei II has named a 5-member board of directors to supervise the activities of the club, as sources in Kumasi have revealed. Now, Kennedy Japan, popularly known as Kempon, makes a return to the club as a board member, with Dr. Yao Amo Asare, a lecturer at the chemistry department of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, also getting the nod. Other members of the board include lawyer Paul Edujemfi, Alhaji Abul Amin, and Nana Boache. The highly respected king dissolved the club's 11-member board 2 weeks ago following the expiration of their mandate. Now, the Ghana Premier League champions want to put their house in order ahead of the start of the Top Flight League next month. So there are details on the sports page of myjoyonline.com. My name is Rashida Baba Kadiri. Sports on the Midday Brief is proudly sponsored by Tigo. Smile, you've got Tigo.
Right, and it's time for some showbiz news now. Ghana's rapperholic Sarkodie has finally released a video for his 2012 hit song Illuminati. The song, which was a response to allegations that the rapper had joined the League of Celebrities belonging to the Illuminati, was said to have been shot in Dubai.
Sarkodie's Illuminati song has enjoyed massive airplay since it was released in November 2012. The video for the song off his yet-to-be-released Psychology album was shot on location in Dubai by Famous Films and directed by award-winning Ghanaian director Gio Jima. Now, Sarkodie's manager Sammy Forson told myjoyonline.com the video was shot over a 2-week period and estimates the total cost of the shoot at about $90,000. Now, that should make it one of the most expensive music videos yet, as it would have clearly beat Beckett's No Away video record, which was supposed to have cost $50,000. According to Sami Forson, Illuminati is one of 2 videos shot in Dubai. The video, which was posted on video sharing site YouTube on August 19, has since received 60,084 views. Now, let's patiently await the release of the second video. Let's see how that fares.
Sami Forson, you better do the talking. Moment you cash I hear me spend it just on shopping. Me amazing crank, I mean you free, I swear I lie. Me Illuminati, come in June got na Hawaii. Yanko Ponde Makochem, me be friend and daddy. Into Dami Prezi, yes, you still I was me Illuminati.
That's it for the segment and for this hour as well. Before we go, a quick recap of our headlines. An Institute for Economic Affairs urges NPP and NDC not to seek review of Supreme Court's judgment after the 29th August verdict. Meanwhile, Judicial Service staff threaten strike ahead of Supreme Court verdict. The local union of the Airport Meteorological Agency are also threatening a strike action to demand better conditions of service. Vice President Pakwesi Emisa Arthur meets Economic Policy Coordinating Committee as they review the challenges and successes of the economy. My name is Kemini Nyamani Amano. Thanks for your company and goodbye.